This conference will now be recorded.
So hello and welcome to all the participants. This is Rahim Zulfiqar from Excel Basement Private Limited. Today we are here for another webinar, and this is one of the most exciting webinar, which is related to data literacy and design thinking. And as we know that a lot of users who actually working on business intelligence applications like Power BI, Tableau, and some other and the professionals who have a lot of data, so definitely they need to know that what exactly is data literacy now, and how to make sure that they are comfortable with the concepts of design thinking and applying those as well. So in today's webinar, I would like to present this presentation regarding two different topics, but they are interconnected with each other, and they are the most crucial job responsibilities nowadays for the businesses. So every person should know about what is data literacy, how we can go with it, and also what is design thinking, how organizations now applying design thinking concepts in their by launching their new products or services. So definitely, we have a lot of professionals in the industry who are doing design thinking on day-to-day business, and it's a long journey. It's a vast field of study. So in this webinar, you will know the all the different aspects of data literacy and design thinking, and I will be sharing some of the learning resources, some examples as well. This webinar will be interactive, and I will ask some questions from you. I hope that audience should participate in that as well. So let's begin. So a short introduction from my side. I am Microsoft certified trainer. I am the founder and CEO of Excel Basement Private Limited. For those of you who knew me, welcome again to this webinar. For those who are new, you can add me on LinkedIn or Facebook if you like for more conversation later on after the webinar. All right, so let me just have a quick check regarding the participants. So we have now enough participants and we can begin it. So first, a topic of the webinar is, or the first part is related to the data literacy. And here we have a very short definition which says that data literacy is the ability to read, understand, create, and communicate data as information. So once you have the data and you are able to read, understand, and create for the communication, that's called, and you transform it into the information, that's called the data literacy. So it's an entire a long process where once you have a data, you go through the data, you clean the data, and you make sure that your data should speaks something for you, for your business. Okay, and much like literacy as a general concept, data literacy focuses on competencies involved in the working data. So this definition has been taken by the Wikipedia, and this is the generalized information where you will find on Google or overall on other websites as well, right? And another definition from the Gartner. So Gartner says, what is data literacy? Gartner defines data literacy as the ability to read, write, and communicate data in context, including an understanding of data sources, and constructs analytical methods and techniques applied, and the ability to describe the use case, application, and resulting value. So it's very important about the data literacy that when you get the data, it should be able to read, write, and communicate, where you can generate the analytical methods and techniques so that it can produce a resulting value. And that's very important, and that's a long process. A lot of employees are involved in the data literacy to make sure that whatever data they are getting from the customers or from the outside world within their organization should be have a meaning and a resulting value, right? So let's discuss another thing, another fact, that is by 2020, It says that 50% of organizations will lack sufficient artificial intelligence and data literacy skills to achieve business value. And as we know that we are living in 2020 and we are moving forward ahead, so it's in demand, it's in value that most of the organizations now are switching towards the artificial intelligence and also the data literacy to have the business value. And overall, it is also said that the digital business future provides organizations with nearly unlimited possibilities to create business value. And increasingly, data and analytics have become a primary driver of business strategy. And the potential for data driven business strategies and information products is a greater than ever. So it's a part of everything that organizations do, yet for many, the ability to think in data is still difficult. And I have one question and a short activity for you in this webinar today, and I hope that participants should participate in it so that you should understand that what is data literacy all about and how to get through it, right? So there are a lot of right data and analytics questions should come in our mind if we are used to for the data literacy, and I would like to have show you some of the questions. But before that, I would discuss some of the main aspects of the data literacy. That is the data and analytics capabilities. Now, very important, and which includes definitely the artificial intelligence as well, because we are now shifting from industrial age to the learning age, where we have the industrial revolution 4.0, where you know that we have a lot of technologies coming in after the COVID as well, very aggressively, something like AI, business intelligence, internet of things, which is almost ready. So now the creators and the consumers should be able to speak with the data as a common language. So primarily the data is the most important part. And as the data and analytics become a core part of digital business and data becomes an organizational asset, so employees must have at least a basic ability to communicate and understand conversations about the data. So speaking in short, the ability to speak the data will become an integral aspect of most day-to-day jobs. And now it's becoming very important, as you know that the participants, I hope that they all are doing jobs and are professionals. This is becoming a day-to-day job for to asking the right data and analytics questions from your actual data, right? So some of the questions might be, for example, how many people in your business do you think can interpret straightforward statistical operations such as correlations or judge averages? Another example might be how many managers can construct a business case based on concrete, accurate, and relevant numbers. How many managers can explain the output of their system and processes? Now, all these questions are not normal questions. All these questions, remember that they are connected to the actual data literacy concepts and processes. Another question is that how many data scientists can explain the output of their machine learning algorithms? How many of your customers can truly appreciate and internalize the essence of the data you share with them? So these all different aspects are connected with the data literacy. And when it comes to the data, we know that we have the internal SOPs for sharing the data, for utilizing the data, for transforming the data. We have different policies within the organizations, which also create some extent to the data literacy culture as well. Okay, now moving forward, what we can see further is, now there is a picture on your screen which have three circles, right, and they are interconnected, and in the middle you can see there is a word which is called data literacy, right? Now how this data literacy develops. So there are a few people who constantly analyze the data. Now, analyzing the data, you have different applications. Most commonly used is Excel, but definitely we know that now people are using different kind of application to analyze their business data. Then there are few people who do to who narrate the analytics, who basically gives you a decision making power. who do the detailed drill down to the analytics, and few people in the organization who constantly design the layouts for the dashboards and other kind of reports. So all these three different kind of people comes together. They do interpretation on the data, they do have the clarity on the data, and they also develop the storytelling. And now the storytelling, after the webinar, I suggest you to go to Excel Basement YouTube channel. Already I have conducted storytelling with the data in my last webinar, so recording is available. Now the storytelling is also most important aspect when you go for the dashboards as well. So I have already covered that, and in today's webinar, I am moving forward to a more advanced concept, which is the data literacy. So now you have a clear picture in mind that it's not all about Microsoft Excel. It's all about an ecosystem built up within the organizations, different kind of peoples doing different their work. But when we collaboratively go for the data environment, we have a data literacy concept where we have a different kind of people coming together, and they are creating these stories with from the data by doing the advanced analytics, right? Next, now there is a data literacy conceptual framework, and it's divided into 4 parts. It can be divided into multiple more parts as well, but for the overall generic idea, we have individuals, we have the departments, then we have organizations, and as a whole we have the community, definitely. So there are different kind of roles within the data literacy conceptual framework you can see. And starting from the individuals to the community, data literacy impacts all these users, either individually or within the organizations or within the community. So now, up till now in this webinar, you have got an idea that data literacy is an important concept, right? And I would like to tell you few points as well before I explain you this diagram on the screen, is that a lot of people ask about that how we can go for the data literacy within the organization. So in most of the organization, data literacy actually exists. You have a lot of people in the IT department who are collecting and gathering the data, who are managing the data. You have the business functions in the departments where you have the data analyst or the business analyst available. You have the head of department who are doing the interpretation or taking the decision making things. So there are 4 key points from my side, is that in 2020 about the data literacy, is that be prepared as possible. Okay, be prepared as possible, because we are going with an aggressive change these days, and we have to adopt the latest technologies overall, so that our organizations can move forward. Also, equip your employees with the right tools for the task they have. Okay, that's very important. And then I can suggest that prioritize upskilling your existing workforce. A lot of people don't upgrade or change themselves. It's a high time to upgrade yourself by upscaling your existing skills. And the last, that stay relevant and adaptable. It's very important for a person, for a professional, that he or she should be stay relevant and adaptable uh, in terms of the data literacy concept. So now, if you go through this picture, you have the 6 different components or parts, you can say, of the data literacy. And from these 6 different components, the data literacy itself produced. So now you can imagine that in your organization, there are can be people who do data collection, some of the people who define the policies and the data ethics, the people who use the analysis applications, and people who do the management analysis and data comprehension and interpretation. So that's entire ecosystem produces the data literacy stuff, and these are 6 different areas. So it's practically, it can be said that one person cannot do all the things together. So it's depend on your strengths, and in which department you are working, and which organization you are working, and what specific role of the data literacy you have. But you should aware of all the uh, all the structure of the data literacy, that how first it start and what is the end point of a data literacy ecosystem within the organization. That's very important. And as I told you that in this webinar, you are mainly focused about the awareness of these concepts, but we have professionals in the industry who are doing on it daily basis, and it takes a lot of times and you need to upgrade yourself as well. So after the webinar, if you want to explore more about the data literacy, if you are very much interested to explore the data literacy, it's a high time. I have written a website here, edix.org. You can visit this website and type data literacy in the search bar. You will get some of the free courses, some of the paid courses, and whatever you like, you can start with the free courses. And after the webinar, I will share this presentation with you on email also, so don't worry about it. So if you are interested, you can go to the edix.org and you can search out for the data literacy, and you will find these awesome courses available and free, and might be few are paid as well. One thing is that data literacy is a purely field of study, and it's a very vast field of study connected with a different components. So you might not get every time a specific straightforward online course from any trainer, or the physical classes course from the trainer about data literacy. It's a vast field of study, and it's connected with a different components like analysis, data collection, data transformations. So you have a different kind of courses on the internet, just like you have one course which is related to the data visualization, so it's a part of data literacy. Then you have data analytics, so it's a part of data literacy, right? So in one go, you can't find the data literacy as a whole course available. Might be you find the initial essentials, fundamentals of data literacy, but you should understand that in which of these six areas you will be much interested and passionate about knowing the data literacy furthermore, and most important, what you will be applying within your organization or not. That's more important. So now it's a high time to interact with you as well. So a data literacy, a critical skill for the 21st century. And there is one picture on your screen which shows a weather forecast. Minimum is 18 centigrade, maximum is 29 centigrade. Chances of any rain is 60%, and possible rainfall is 2 to 10 millimeter. Now I have a question for you, and I would like the participants to answer that. And for those who are watching this video, you can write in the comment either on Facebook or Twitter, and I will answer that across you. So the which is of these do you think is correct? So the first one is A, 60% chance of rain between 2 millimeter and 10 millimeter. B, 60% chance of rain in a 24-hour period. And number C, 40% chance of rain less than 20 millimeters. So by seeing this data, by seeing this visualization, are you able for the data literacy? So I have asked you a question. There are three choices. Kindly write the best possible or correct answer in the chat window, either A, B, or C, and then I would like to tell you the correct answer. So from the participants, after seeing this data into a proper visualization, read the question and tell me the correct answer in the chat window. Okay, we have two responses here, but I would like to have more responses as well from the other participants. So what will be the correct answer of this visual? So we have four responses so far. Very good. I want more responses so that the webinar should be interactive. So seeing the data, what will be the right answer? Okay, so the right answer is answer B. So the right answer is the answer B. That's 60% chance of rain in a 24-hour period. And this is how, when we don't have the data literacy, because as I told you that we should have the ability to think in data is still difficult. It's not about that what we are seeing is always be the right. The interpretation of the data is still difficult, and that's the data literacy is here to tell you that how to do the interpretation of the data when you have the data literacy concept. So the correct answer is option B, 60% of chance of rain in a 24-hour period. And if you want to know more about this correct answer, which is answer B, you can visit this link after the webinar, and you have a proper explanation about this question as well, right? So most of the times users do mistakes in identifying and interpreting the numbers when it comes to the analysis, and that's how the data literacy teaches you. So I hope it's now much clear to you. All right, so now we are proceeding towards the second part of our webinar, which is related to the design thinking, and that's also the one of the most important area for us to explore. But before that, I would like to also conclude about the data literacy here for the participants and the future viewers of this webinar video as well, that as we are living in a world increasingly powered by data, and you need to understand that the data literacy is an important as literacy itself. When we say that simple literacy is very important for a country, it means that now the data literacy is also important for itself, for the user. And organizations that want to stay competitive in a data in this rich world must prepare themselves to take an advantage of every opportunity for it to inform their business users practices and decisions. So by concluding this, I hope that you know the significant importance in this webinar about the data literacy, and it's now up to you that how much you explore it. The aim of this webinar was to give you a quick go through for all the data literacy concepts, and that's why we have now many kinds of business intelligence applications, AI, and the analytics people. These jobs are going on a boom side, and we have a lot of demand even after the COVID-19 in this pandemic situations. So there are a lot of work of data analysis and data literacy is coming up. Okay, so now let's move towards the design thinking. And in this design thinking, we will be discussing about the linear way of doing the design um, of any of product we are going to launch or any kind of service. So commonly, the fundamental definition of design thinking is that design thinking is a human centered. You need to understand that there are a lot of vocabulary which is might be easy for you to read, but you need to understand them. So design thinking is a human centered approach to innovation. Now design thinking is focusing on innovation that draws from the designer's toolkit to integrate the needs of people, the possibilities of technology, and the requirements for the business success. So there are three aspects which are connected with the design thinking. uh, as design thinking said that this should be human centric, must include the innovation from the designer's toolkit, so that it should be integrated with the needs of the people, the possibilities of the technology, and the requirements of a business success. And yes, we agree that we all want these factors for a successful business. So this means that design thinking is a very important part. And definitely in this webinar I would like to have a quick go through that how you can go towards the design thinking. But as I told you that this is a very vast field of study. Design, we have a professionals in the industry who do design thinking, and it's requires a lot of time and energy to um go in that profession as well, and hard work as well. So we will be discussing about a 5 stage process. I have mentioned the website in the slide as well, so after the webinar you can visit for a detailed understanding. So a 5 stage process have the 5 steps, definitely starting from empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And I would like to explain you that what these words explain, and how we do the design thinking process from the very start. So as you see that the first word is empathize. Now what is empathize? So the very first stage of design thinking process is to gain and empathize understanding of the problem you are trying to solve, and this involves consulting experts to find out more about the area of concern through observing, engaging, and empathizing with people to understand their experiences and motivations, as well as immersing yourself in a physical environment so you can gain a deeper personal understanding of the issues involved. So in the empathize first process, you get observe, engage with the people which have the experiences, and you try to understand within the physical environment that what is problem going on and how to address them. Now in the second step of the define, right, in the define, during the define stage you put together the information you have created and generated during the empathize stage, and this is where you will analyze your observations and synthesize them in order to define the core problems that you and your team has identified up to this point. So once you have collected the data, you have identified the problem in the define process, you should speak to define the problem as a problem statement. Now you are ready to define the problem statement in a human centered manner. Okay. Now when you go for the third stage, which is the ideate. So ideate tells you that during this third stage of the design thinking process, designers are ready to start generating ideas. So ideate is basically related to the ideas. Once you have the problem statement, now you are generating the ideas, and you have grown to understand your users and their needs in an empathize stage, and ended up with a human centered problem statement. And I hope you have uh, heard about thinking outside the box. So all the ideas which are very different, which are unique and outside the box, is the third stage of this design thinking 5 stage process. When you go for the prototype, so the design team will now produce a number of inexpensive scaled down versions of the product or specific features found within the product, so they can investigate the problem solutions generated in the previous stage. So now you are ready to go for the prototypes. You are ready to build a number of inexpensive scaled down versions, so that you can see that either your ideas is working up to the expectations, or is it addressing to your problem statement or not. And then the last stage is of test stage, which says that the designers or the evaluators test the complete product using the best solutions identified during all the prototyping phase, which is the last phase. And in this the final stage, but it's an iterative process. And iterative means uh, up and down, right? So it's an iterative process, might be sometimes very goes very up and goes very down, and that results could be generated and redefined. So there are three main things related in testing, that the ability of thinking of an idea, behavior, and the feeling that you get if the problem statement is being addressed correctly, right? And we can come up with a very different kind of examples. For example, if an organization wants to develop a mobile application, so we know that even in Pakistan we have a local banks who have a mobile application. And for developing that mobile application, definitely they have collected the data of the customers. They have the feedbacks, then they define a thoroughly process that how to minimize the issues of the banking sector. They have built the UI and UX of that application. They do the testing, and then they launch it live. We can take another example. We have a lot of examples in this webinar coming up as well, that how to do the design thinking and which organizations have done it before and they have reached to the new standards as well. So design thinking, to conclude the previous slide, just in short, that emphasizing understanding the human needs involved. Defining is the reframing and defining the problem in human centric ways. Ideating means creating many ideas in ideation sessions, which is the idea thinking outside the box. Prototyping is adopting a hands-on approach in prototyping, where you create inexpensive scale down solutions. And the testing is developing a prototype solution to the problem. So these are the 5 linear stages of design thinking, 5 steps process. And also later on, if you start with the emphasize, define, idea, prototype, test, and the last stage, definitely once you are very confident, then you can implement that as well. um, there is a linear way and there is a non-linear way as well, and the non-linear way suggests that if you are on the step number 3 or step number 4, and you would like to go again to the step number 1 for more detailed data collection, so then you can go ahead. So based on the strategy of an organization, either they want to go in a linear way or in a non-linear way, depends, but the steps should remain the same. Okay. So moreover, if I explain you, then this diagram has been taken from Stanford D School design thinking process. So it's give you a quick summary of each of the stage from the empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. That how the design thinking uh, done in a linear way or either in a non-linear way. And there are two more important concepts which I would like to address in the webinar. And if you would like to have a more detailed information, you can search anytime on Google. So there are two concepts within this process, 5-stage process, is that you come with a diverge solution or converge. There are two strategies to it, and I have put the diagram here as well, a converging lens and a diverging lens. So if I just read for you, a series that converges has a finite limit, that is a number that is approach, and a series that diverges means either the partial sums has no limit or approach infinity. So within this diagram of converging lens, you can see the difference between converging and the diverging concept. Okay, and let me tell you in detail that how it works. So the new double diamond model of design thinking. So this model itself called the double diamond. Okay, and again there are 5 stages. For example, if we are doing the design thinking and we are going for with the 5 stages, which is the empathize, define, ideate, and prototype and test. So we have split it into 2 diamonds. We will be seeing the possibilities. Once we have triggered the problem, we would like to have empathize and define again and again with the possibilities, because we are finding the right problem. Because once we find the wrong problem, it would address the wrong solution. So it's very important to find the right problem by iterative, through the diverge and converge concept. And once you done that, we have the problem statement here. So once we have done, we have the problem statement. And to address the problem statement into a solution, again we will do the diverge and converge by having the possibilities, number of possibilities between our ideas, prototype, and test. And then at the last we will get our solution. So this is the very basic uh, model, diamond model of design thinking. So again, there is one more picture, and in this picture now you can understand that starting from the challenge, you have these stages, 5 stages: understanding, define, that is the problem space, and then you frame the problem, and then you go to the next diamond, which is the ideate, prototype, and test. Again you find the possibilities, and then you come up with a solution, and then you launch the solution once it's correctly addressing to your problem. Okay. So overall, as a whole, if we see about the design thinking, so there are 3 important aspects: that business viability, people desirability, and technology feasibility. And through all these things, we have the emotional innovation, process innovation, and functional innovation. And we come up with together, we called it experience innovation, which calls the design thinking. And as I told you that design thinking is a vast field of study. We have a lot of professionals and organizations doing the design thinking once they have the requirement of launching a new product or a service from the very scratch, or they want to iterate into a new idea to get through the problem statement, and they have the proper solution for that. The design thinking professionals, which are the subject matter expert professionals, are also available in the organizations now. And if they are not, so you can analyze the demand in the upcoming months about that. So if you are passionate and if you are keen to learn about more about the design thinking, you can anytime go to the Coursera website, and on this link you will find this free course, and there are also a lot of paid courses available as well. So you can enroll for free, design thinking for innovation, so that you can get an idea that how the design thinking is involved. And definitely this course is a detailed course rather than this webinar, because this webinar was mainly focused to get you aware about the data literacy in design thinking. Moreover, if you go for the edx.org website, you will find a lot of courses regarding the design thinking. Again, some of the courses are available in free and some are paid. But you can definitely start with your journey if you are interested to know more about the design thinking in organizations. Right. And so now the time for some of the practical examples. Definitely, I would like to share some of the practical examples regarding the design thinking and their success stories. So, Braun, creating a better oral bead toothbrush. So you can anytime go to this link and read more about the that how from the design thinking an organization is creating a better oral B toothbrush, which is designing a simplified IoT electric toothbrush. Now that's a very major drastic innovation in toothbrush. So Internet of Things electric toothbrush. So this idea was first applied in the design thinking, and definitely we know that this is not a work of one employee. There are a lot of employees in the teams and the subject matter experts uh, available and come together to do the to address the problem and to come up with a solution with different strategies and methods, and that's we call the design thinking. Then we have from the healthcare, GE Healthcare building a better MR scanner experience for children by using paintings and storytelling. As I told you, that storytelling is also very important. So from terrifying to terrific, and that's one more success stories for from the design thinking for GE Healthcare. Next, we have the Nike, and we know what is Nike, yes? So design thinking infuses everything Nike does. It all starts with the CEO. So how Nike became a fashion powerhouse through design. Very important to know about that. Then these are the success stories which we find in a local context, in a local country or a region, that how these multinational organizations are evolving as compared to the small medium enterprise business, because they are adopting the latest concepts and the technologies in their organizations. So Airbnb, one of the very famous organization as well nowadays, but definitely by the COVID they are facing the bankruptcy as well. So using DTN to avoid bankruptcy and develop a winning business model, Airbnb also adopted the design thinking process. Apple, we all know Apple, right? So think different about innovation through design thinking. Their cell phones are also covered a lot of aspects, and they also do the design thinking as well. So these are practical case studies available. Uber, we all know Uber as well, right? Creating the future of food delivery through design thinking. Now they are going forward for the super application. So here in Pakistan we have Kareem, we have Uber. So they are building the super application where they would not be just giving you the transportation services, but they are giving you the movie of the tickets. They will be booking through the online website. They will be using e-commerce websites. They are doing the food delivery as well. So creating the future of food delivery through design thinking. Now that's another important case study to read about, right? So that's all from my side for this today's webinar. I hope you like this webinar, and about the data literacy and design thinking approach. Definitely in the webinars, you always take the important points and then you proceed towards your career field, and you can add this skill set in your resume as well. But this takes a lot of time. Definitely it's not easy, but it's not much difficult as well for the people who can start uh, exploring more about the data literacy and design thinking. So thank you so much for joining the today's webinar, and